All right. So, someone in the Discord ended up linking me to an article. The link to the article is down in the description. And I'm going to go ahead and I'm actually going to go ahead and read through it. It's not a long article. And then I'll get to my commentary. Female burglar who broke into an occupied house was given a suspended sentence and was told by a judge she would be in prison if she were a man. Terry Reamer, I'm gonna call her Terry Reamer, broke into a house in Washington near Newcastle last August in the early hours of the morning whilst a frightened old man hid upstairs, the Sunderland Echo reports. Prosecutor Paul Newcomb, what the fuck? But whatever. Told the court that the occupier was so frightened he texted his daughter for help. By the time she and her boyfriend arrived, the female burglar had left, making off with a camera and other possessions. This was a case. This was an occupied dwelling house burglary, and the occupant was disturbed. Mr. Newcomb said. He awoke at 5 a.m. to hear someone was creeping around the house. He heard items being moved and was frightened. The entry was gained through an insecure patio door. The court heard that Miss Reamer, a 23-year-old mother of one, had numerous previous convictions for theft and shoplifting. Keep that in mind. Her defense argued that she had turned to drugs after developing PTSD and claimed she was deeply remorseful. All right. I'll finish off reading this because there's only a few more sentences left. The recorder judge, Mark Lowe, QC, handed her a suspended sentence of 18 months, and she was ordered to complete a 30-day rehabilitation program. Recorder Lowe said, "The gravity is that if you were a man, you would be going to prison today. But I have to take into account not only your welfare, but the welfare of your child," he added. So a woman gets away with a crime that would have sent a man to fucking prison. And it's blatantly because she is a woman. It was stated that if she had been a man, she would have been going to prison. But because she had the fucking goddamn pussy pass, guess what? That means she gets a full pass. Oh, she has to go to a rehabilitation program. Woohoo. A 30-day rehabilitation program with a suspended 18-month sentence when she has a history of this shit. She's sitting there on fucking drugs. Yet they're saying, oh yeah, this child needs to stay in your fucking custody. What the fuck? What the actual fuck? If this had been a guy, not only would he have gone to prison, but he would have lost custody of his kid and never got to see that kid again. If a guy has a history of something, that's not overlooked. They use that to hammer him. This is absolute bullshit. And this proves that feminism isn't looking for equality, because if they were, at that point, feminists would have been all over that judge saying, no, you need to send her to prison, just like you would a man. But they're not going to do that. Social justice warriors are going to stay way the fuck away from that. In fact, they're going to try to keep that swept under the fucking rug. Why? Because it shows that women are not oppressed. They are a privileged fucking class, if anything. And like I said, I have the article linked down below. You can go and read it yourself. You can double check that I didn't leave anything out or anything like that. Yet people wonder why MRAs and MGTOWs are pissed off as fuck. They actually have the audacity to wonder why we're pissed off at this point. Why we say nothing is equal. Why we say the system is skewed against men. Well, there's proof fucking positive. Men are held to a completely different standard than women's. Men are held to a much higher standard than women. Men don't get the protection. Men don't get benefit of the doubt. Men don't get these little slap on the wrist punishments. Oh no. Women get the slap on the wrist punishments. Women get the special circumstances. So I'm just going to go out and say it. This judge needs to not be a judge anymore. Anytime a judge says, if you were a man, you would be going to prison, then that means they are not doing their fucking job. Anytime someone says, I am treating you differently because you are a woman, they need to be removed from whatever position they're in. Or if they say, well, I wouldn't punish you, but you're a man, so I'm going to throw the book at you. You should know better. Because here's the thing. Go ahead and imagine if a man had something like this. Same exact scenario. People would be sitting there and saying, look, there's corruption. That's misogyny. That's men looking out for their own. That's men not being held to the same standard. They'd be calling for the guy's kid to be fucking taken away from him. They'd be calling for the guy to lose his job, to what the fuck ever. Drugs aren't an excuse for men. So why in the fuck should they be an excuse for a woman? Having PTSD isn't an excuse for a man. So why should it be an excuse for a woman? And I'm wondering if she actually has PTSD or if it's Tumblr PTSD. Because now, because of the psycho women out there, you have to ask that question. You can't just take it at face value anymore. Whenever someone sits there and says, I have PTSD, how did you get PTSD? First thing that comes out of my fucking mouth. How did you get PTSD? And unless they were out on the battlefield and saw their best friend get their head fucking splattered up against a fucking wall, or saw an entire town of people come running out of the town on fire and drop to the ground with the smell of burning flesh getting permanently put into their fucking nostrils? Oh, hell no. If they sit there and say, well, people said mean things to me on Twitter, fuck you. I was on Twitter for a long time, and I had death threats. I had rape threats, which was kind of weird. I had every kind of threat levied at me. I had some of the most heinous shit said to me and about me on Twitter. And I don't have PTSD. So that either means I'm a freak of fucking nature, or it means that these people that are getting PTSD from Tumblr and shit, well, guess what? They need to grow a thicker fucking skin. That's not PTSD. That's reality, bitch. But I don't know where she got her PTSD. I don't know if she actually has PTSD. But the fact of the matter is right here, we actually had a case where a woman should have gone to prison, but the judge outright said that because of the fact that she had the pussy pass, she got to walk. She got a communicated sentence. That means she doesn't have to do it. Only if she doesn't go to the 30-day rehabilitation program. That's the only time she has to serve that. I'm sure there's some time frame where if she runs afoul of the law, she's fucked. But something tells me that the judge that she gets for that would sit there and go, "Oh well, if you were a man, you'd be going to prison, but we have to take your child into account. How about this? Do the same thing that you would do to a single father that's in the same fucking scenario. Take the kid away. That kid would be better off in our fucked up adoption system than it would with a fucking druggy thief mother who turns to drugs because she's too mentally fucking weak to handle reality." If you're really concerned with the welfare of that child, get the child away from that shit. But they were using the excuse. I'm just going to go ahead and really drive this point home. I'm going to drive this point home right now. Her defense used her illegal drug addiction as a defense to get her from going to fucking prison. Think about that. The defense basically said, well, she has PTSD, which again, the jury's out on that because we don't know if it's Tumblr style PTSD, in other words, fake PTSD, or if it's legit. But given her young age, something tells me it's probably not legit. So, they said that because of her PTSD, she got into illegal drugs. That's the reason why she committed the crime, and that's why she shouldn't go to prison. Because she said she's sorry. And the judge outright said that if she was a man, that defense wouldn't fly. But because she was a woman, she gets a pass. And then somehow, men are considered The privileged ones. Here's a secret for all the snowflakes out there. If you see people committing the same amount of crime and one group is going to prison for it and the other one isn't, even when found guilty, then guess what? The one that's not going to prison is the privileged group. So in this case, guess what? Women are the privileged group. We got this straight from a fucking judge. So ladies, here's your chance. Bitch about this. Bitch and complain about it. Screech and holler, cry, moan, whatever the fuck you got to do to get this corrected and land that bitch's ass in jail. Then I might start to believe you when you say you want equality. Until you start doing shit like that in these circumstances, you can get fucked. I'm done with the kids' gloves. Done with it. Here's the facts. We right now have a system where women are outright not being punished for committing crimes that men would go to prison for if men committed those crimes. The judges aren't even hiding it anymore. There is no way that women can be equal while this is in place. There is no way that we can be equal. Period. End of story. And if you're not willing to fight for actual equality, then go fuck yourselves. You get no sympathy from me when things go wrong for you. Quite frankly, I'm starting to lose any and all sympathy for women. You are turning me, slowly but surely, into a hate-filled individual. And if I keep progressing along this fucking line, then in a few years' time, I'm going to sit there and I'm going to hear about some guy that went out and raped a woman and they're out looking for him. And I'm going to sit there and say, I hope he gets away. That is the level of hatred that is being bred into me when I see this shit. Privilege breeds nothing but resentment. And women in just about every aspect of life nowadays are privileged beyond all belief. I'm not going to stay silent on it. Anytime someone brings something like this up, I'm going to call it out. Because it needs to be called out. Attention needs to be drawn to this. Because the more attention that this sort of shit gets, the more men are going to realize that this whole chivalry thing needs to stop. The whole white knighting thing needs to stop. Women don't need men's protection at this point. They don't. They got big daddy government. They decided to side with that. Ditch them. They have been put on such a high pedestal that our legal system can't even touch them. Women are getting away with straight up crimes. Everything ranging from petty theft to murder. So anytime a woman wants to tell me that men are privileged, I'm going to point to shit like this. Be all like, when do you hear of men doing this? Oh, male feminists. When they sit there and rape 2 or 3 women, and then SJWs and feminists go after the people that are accusing them. That's about it. It's the only time men are actually fucking protected, unless they're Muslim. And then all of a sudden, in the legal system, sexual emergency becomes an excuse for child molestation and rape. But those are the only men that are actually protected. Those are the only men that are actually getting away with crimes. If you're talking about locals, if you're talking about Christian men, if you're talking about agnostic or atheist men, or any other religion or creed out there, they aren't protected. Women, however, excuses are made for women all the time. Oh, she killed her baby because she had baby blues. So, think guys don't get baby blues? Yeah, we do. But if a guy kills a kid while he's in the male version of it, guess what? He goes to prison for a very long time. And then, even once he gets out of prison, if he survives it, he can't get a job. He's hunted down by people. Hell, a woman can sit there and rape a child and then not have to register on the sex registry. Really? But then you get shit like this, where a judge says, if you were a man, you would be going to prison. That should never be uttered. And if it's able to go that far, what next? Oh, if you were white, you'd go to prison. If you were Christian, you'd be going to prison. Where does it stop? But I am so sick and tired of this shit. And they are being so blatant about it. They're being so brazen about it. So this is going to be a short stream, guys. It's going to be a really short one. But I just wanted to go ahead and bring this up. I'll probably talk about this in another stream as well. But the fact of the matter is at this point, I highly recommend you go ahead, you read this article. It's not too long of a read. I have the link down in the description. And go ahead, leave your comments under the video. What do you think about this? Is this in any way fair in your eyes? Should this fucking exist at all? Because the fact of the matter is at this point, if we have shit like this happening, it's definitely time to stand up and take notice. It's time to stand up and do something about it. It's been that time for a long time. But now we actually have a judge saying, if you were a man, you would have been going to prison. That right there shows an absolute double standard. So I'm going to go ahead. I'm going to end the stream. I know that this one's a really short one, but this is pretty cut and dry. But the fact of the matter is, this sort of shit keeps fucking happening, and I'm not going anywhere. I'll be here to call this shit out every single time. And guys, if you see stuff like this, if you see stuff that you want me to go ahead and cover, go ahead, personal message it to me, or go ahead and link it to me on Discord. If I see it, I'll go ahead and I'll cover it. I always appreciate it whenever someone brings something to my attention that I might not have seen before. But I'm going to go ahead. I'm going to leave it here. Anyone, feel free to go ahead, leave your comments down below. What the fuck do you think about this? Like, does it make anyone else as pissed off as it makes me? Honestly, when I see shit like this, it makes my blood boil. So go ahead, let me know in the comments if you're watching afterwards. If you came here for the stream, thank you very much for coming. Definitely appreciate it, as always. But I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to end the stream here. Have yourselves a great night. I'll talk to y'all later. But Jesus Christ, this is ridiculous. I don't even. What the fuck?